All right, starting here because it just kind of starts to make sense. Again, the remote learning stuff is on my website, mrkelly.org. Um, it's organized there, so if you get confused, I don't know what the Google Classroom looks like from your end. I can only see it on my end. Um, uh, but it has it all as I've put it week from week. The different assignments. I added time to all the assignments because last I heard, there's still some of you that have no power. Um, and one thing you need for this remote learning stuff is power. So this is the lesson I put up um, on Monday, I think, and it's a pretty big one. And so I made it due like next week. But the due date is just get it done by. It's up to you when you get it done once it's up there, going by what time you have. Today's lesson is fairly big too, and I'll give you time to do it. And you can always stop these videos, and as long as you don't say you're done with the quiz thing, you should be able to finish it. If you have trouble, I did have this happen yesterday. If you accidentally turned it in, as long as I don't correct it, I can send it back to you. So you don't have to finish. You can stop, and you can rewind the video at any time. So that's the benefit of this. If there's any benefit, very little benefit. But anyway, today what we're doing is we're getting into the Constitution. We're going to do Article 1. If you remember that the Constitution is broken up into all those articles and stuff, but the most important articles is Article 1, Article 2, and Article 3. Article 1 is the legislative branch. Kind of think of that bulletin board in the front of my room. Legislative branch's job is to make laws. Article 2 is the executive branch. And a picture of the White House. And their job is to carry out the laws. And then Article 3 is the judicial branch, and had the Supreme Court building. And their job is to make sure that the laws are fair and interpret the laws. All right? So we're going to be doing Article 1. Again, it's all set up. There's 10 sections in Article 1. I'm not going to go through each of the sections and read them to you or something like that. But if you look at the Constitution, it starts with the preamble in Article 1, the longest article because it's the legislative branch, and our founding fathers wanted the legislative branch to be really the most powerful. And today we're really only going to do half of the legislative branch. We're going to do the House of Representatives, the People's Branch. So I made slides because the slides that I had made for the smart board, I thought I could cheat kind of and be able to use them and teach them from here, but they are not compatible to my computer because they were made by a computer that was from the Stone Age, and mine is is from the 1800s, so it doesn't quite work. But let's do the intro. You can hear I'm drinking tea. You can drink if you want while watching this. You shouldn't be doing gum though, and you should be docked down. Yeah. If you have to go to the bathroom, just make sure you sign out. I write my own jokes. You see the comedians on TV. They have like writers still working for them, so they're wicked funny. But this might be good to do now because I do write my own jokes. That's fantastic. Good stuff. All right, there's an NBC advertisement. I'm going to get rid of this. I don't have my wand. Get rid of this too. I'm going to get rid of this too. And I'm going to open up this. And this is the intro. Hello. I can't play it because it's behind my controller thing.
The House of Representatives is one of the two parts of the U.S. Congress. It is sometimes called the People's House. That is because the U.S. Constitution sets few restrictions on who can serve there. House members can be as young as 25 years old. The oldest was 91. They can be rich or poor and belong to any religion. Most members were born in the United States, but more than 300 have been immigrants. Elections for the House are held every 2 years. so lawmakers must stay in contact with voters. Members of the House represent the people who live in part of their state, called a district. When Congress first met in 1789, the House had 65 representatives. Today, it has 435 voting members. The number rose because the population and size of the U.S. has sharply increased. Members of Congress hold hearings, develop policies, and vote on laws. They investigate suspected wrongdoing by people in office and can bring charges against them. And they hold the power of the purse, the ability to tax and spend public money for the national government.
All right, good. Good. And this is the House website, and it's got a lot of information about what they're doing and stuff. But the leadership team, if you click on this, Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House, Democratic majority leader is this Representative Hoyer, and then there's a majority whip. The whips are the people that count. If you remember, I told you about that. The Assistant Speaker, caucusman, and then the Republicans are in the minority. Their leader is Kevin McCarthy. I'll give you more on him in a minute. The Republican whip is Steve Scalise, and on Liz Cheney. Her dad was a representative and was Secretary of State under George Bush and stuff. So anyway, go back. There's a dog barking outside. I don't know if you can hear that. It's fantastic. I don't have a dog, but yeah. So that's the website. I'm going to come back to this in a bit. All right, I wanted to give you an example. Because there's 435 members, and it has to be run really, really strict. And they can't have like in British Parliament, although there's a lot of them there too, just people, speaking out and going on and on like that. So what ends up happening is that the speaker who runs the House of Representatives, it usually isn't there. Only in major bills are they there to run it, but they'll assign somebody else to run it. But they're pretty much like policemen. They have a whole big group in front of them that tell them about time, and you're given time. So if a bill is presented on the floor of the House, you might have a good idea for a bill, and it gets through your committee, and the committee chairperson will go to the Rules Committee, and the Rules Committee says, well, that's a great bill. We'll give you, half an hour on March 10th to present, and we're going to give a half hour for anyone who's against it to speak there. And people sign up with you, and you go up to the table on that day, and you have a half hour, and they count every minute. You can yield minutes to someone else to speak, and I just wanted to give you an example of how that looks. And so I had to go back for this to work, because while they're in session now, they are doing this social distancing, so they really can't all be on the floor. So they're not doing it remote yet, which I think is going to happen. They're going to end up with doing it with Zoom or something, but it's not cool to see now, because it's like one person in the whole room. This is March 5th. If I go to 228, I'm going to skip ahead because I set this stuff up. This is just, you can see that they were voting here. They're voting on a bill. I don't know what the bill is. I don't really care. But when they're gonna vote, they'll call the vote, and they'll say, we're gonna call a vote. And a lot of the representatives aren't in the room, and they'll have an hour or something to get there to vote. They knew it was probably scheduled to vote that day, so people will run out to their offices, and they'll come in, and they'll wander in and out, and they'll be little, just like you're seeing here, little groups talking and stuff. But how they vote is there's these little ATM machines they're all over the place, and they put their card in and they vote yes, no, or abstain, and it shows up on this big scoreboard and the wallpaper above. You can see here that this thing's been going on for a while. It's only got 2 minutes left. All the Democrats are voting yes, so it's probably a Democratic bill. And 38 no votes. They may not be there. Who knows? Or they haven't got there yet. 12 Republicans voted yes. So it looks like this thing's going to pass, but whatever it is, and again, I don't really care what it is. Let's skip ahead to the end of it if we can see the end. I don't want to. Oh, there's the end. So they can't vote anymore. It's over. 30 people didn't vote. They probably aren't there. And nothing's really happening. Notice this isn't Nancy Pelosi. It's not Nancy. Again, she would have assigned someone to do this bill this day. And like I said, it was March 4th. So he's got purple hair. Do you see her? She's good for her. They're getting ready for the next bill. It's about to be brought up.
Are 230 and the nays are 171. The bill is passed. Without objection.
So pro tempore means temporary, assigned. So whoever that guy is, I don't know who he is.
The motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
I'm just going to skip ahead here a little bit. Oh, there's a new pro tempore speaker, temporary speaker, and they're about to start another debate. I just want to show a little bit of debate.
Detained while attempting to enter the United States are guaranteed access.
He's standing behind that table where they can, where they present, and he has control of the clock. Basically, he owns whatever time has been given for this bill. He owns it for the Democrats, and he will yield it to other people that want to speak. And a lot of times you'll see them behind him, usually on their phones or something. They're getting ready to speak. They're nervous. They're going through their notes. And on the other table will be a Republican. And sometimes it's contentious. Sometimes it's just to present both sides or to try to work out a compromise in the bill to get it to pass.
To legal counsel.
I don't want to get into
back in 2017.
Here's the Republican.
That the president ultimately determined, working through the Department of Homeland Security, were not in compliance. He listed those countries. He added a few more later. I know a number of.
So he's in control of the Republican minutes, whatever minutes was given to this bill, and he's sitting behind that table too. And again, they'll recognize other people to go up and speak. Let me skip ahead to, and I don't really care what they're talking about. Let me skip ahead to where they give minutes to other people.
It would not preclude the president. To,
this guy on his phone, it looks like it's being rude, but it's not. He's probably going to speak, and he's getting ready to speak.
Not only
he sometimes bring in charts. Oh, okay, so some guy got called on to speak. So he goes up front.
Regardless of.
He went up front, and he yielded him a couple of minutes, and he's going to use those minutes. All right, and those minutes are over apparently. And here's a Republican guy coming up.
I would like to recognize the John Wesley United Methodist Church in Cape May Courthouse in South Jersey on their 180th anniversary celebration this year.
So he yielded him some time, but he wanted to give a shout out to his district, which is kind of nice, I guess, because it ends up getting put in the congressional record. This is a lady speaking. Again, they're giving their time to these different people, and they're coming forward and speaking.
On this much deserved.
And that's how the debate is done.
And the women who have it, and the men and women.
And when the time is up, whatever it was that they gave them, when it's up, they'll drop the hammer down and it's over. So I just wanted to give you a taste of what that looks like. And I mentioned the this is what happens when you don't really know what you're doing. I mentioned the congressional record. Congressional record is everything that's said on the floor gets written down. So every word that's said on the floor of the House or the Senate on any given day is written down. So if I go again, if I use April, it's not going to be a good example because April's a mess. But I think that was March 4th or something. Let's go to March 4th and I hit this. This will be the congressional record. It says Senate Digest. It might have been that only the Senate was in session that day. And no. Yep. So every word that was said, basically, every word is recorded here, and that way, if you weren't there, you could read it. Not like they couldn't watch the video, like I just did with you, but it's all recorded there. Before they had video, I guess it was really important. So the congressional record, sometimes they just want to be in the congressional record. They want to get in there. I want a better. All right, there's a congressional record. Notice this is the 116th Congress. Every 2 years is an election for the Congress. So the first Congress that met in New York City, that James Madison was in, was the first Congress. And that Congress went on for 2 years. And then there was a second Congress. And then 2 years later, to the third Congress. So we're in the 116th Congress, which means 232 years Congress has been meeting. Right? They're not as old as our country is. Our country was founded in 1776. That's when we were born, 4th of July, but we were under the Articles of Confederation until the Constitution was ratified. So it's just the more you know kind of a thing. Good. So that's a congressional record. The amount of members you get is based on population. They serve 2-year terms. The leader is the speaker. They're third in line to the president. And we're in the 116th Congress now. And I did this map with some classes. It's kind of a cool map. This is the election in 2018. And it shows nothing. Here's the map. I wanted the map. It's not showing the map. I'm gonna scream. Oh, there's the map. It just hadn't loaded yet, and I got impatient, I guess. So here's the map. If you looked at this map from far away, you wouldn't think that the Democrats control the House of Representatives. They have 235 members. That's why they have a speaker, and the speaker is a very powerful position. We'll talk about that next. 235 members. And there's 199 Republicans. And if you look at the map, you would say, well, that can't be right. It looks like it's mostly red. It seems like it's mostly Republican. But again, it's those areas like Montana that, there's more cows than there are people. And so it's a lot of land. They only have one district. They only have one representative in all of Montana. And it's a small one. And then you get into some of these other districts that are like, if you go into New York City, and if I click on it, I'm in Delaware. Yeah, it's tough to get old, I'm telling you. Now I'm in Pennsylvania. I'm not even near New York. All right, here we are. So here's New York. There's a whole bunch of little districts, and they probably have more people living in them than Montana. So you can't go by the size of these districts. You kind of have to go by the amount of districts that they have, which you really can't see. And here's Massachusetts. It's our district. Got 9 districts. Kind of a smaller state. The biggest one is California. They've got 52, I think. But again, if you get into like LA, you're talking like the districts are wicked little. This is LA. I mean, these districts are really small because there's so many people that live there. And then you get out to, another state that's doesn't have a huge population, like Nebraska. And you've got, this is one district, it's the size of New England, basically. And then, they have 3 districts. One's there, one's there, one's there. I mean, so it doesn't go by, it goes by the population, and it goes by the size of your state. talk about gerrymandering a different day, but that's pretty good. All right, I think I'm going to wrap this up on this first slide because it's going long, and I'll make some questions up just to make sure that you understood what I wanted you to understand. And I'll do the next slide with you, which is like this one. Who's a representative to Congress? What district do we live in? Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that tomorrow and go forward from there. But that's quite a bit I said today, so let's leave it there.